Good evening and welcome to the Town of Babylon Planning Board. Today is the 16th of October. We do have one public hearing. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please take the roll.
Patrick Halpin.
Present.
Frank Santos. Julianne Nolan. Dan Truchin. Ed Wynn.
Present.
Juan Leon.
Present.
Rich Grow. Katie Riley. Matt Esposito. Rich Casey.
Okay. We do have a quorum. Before we start this public hearing, I'd like to read the statement into the record. The Planning Board shall have the right to rely on any information that is presented by the applicant. If any information is later found to be inaccurate or incorrect, the Planning Board may determine that any approvals, building permits, or other actions previously granted in connection with the application are null and void.
Item A on the agenda, public hearing, site plan review, special exception, job number 22-28AH, the Oil and Lubricant Depot, LLC, proposes interior alterations and facade renovations to two existing buildings for a change of use from a bus depot to a warehouse for oil and petroleum products, along with associated site improvements.
Okay, who's here on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Darrell J. Conway, 57 West Main Street, Babylon, New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed. But before you begin, let me just ask, on October 10th, the Deputy Planning Commissioner, Liz White, issued a memorandum regarding this particular application. There are a whole series of conditions, covenants, restrictions. Does your client have any concerns, questions, or anything that you'd like to bring to our attention?
No, we are in agreement with both the covenants and restrictions and the conditions.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. I'm here today on behalf of the Oil and Lubricant Depot, LLC, located at 65 Court Street in Copiague. People with me tonight are Stephen Krausman, the owner, Anthony Garrett, the principal of Billow Garrett Group Architects of Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, and Todd Siegel, the project manager. The subject site is located at 65 Court Street in Copiague, Suffolk County Tax Map District 100, Section 201, Block 2, Lot 64.008. It is a 181,994 square foot lot, approximately 4.14 acres. It is bounded on the east by Court Street and on the west by Cedar Street. It is Zone G Industry. This is a site plan application for the interior alteration and facade renovation of two existing masonry buildings arising from a change of use application from an old school bus depot to a warehouse for the storage of oil and petroleum products. The applicant is additionally seeking a special exception use permit from the town board for wholesale storage of petroleum pursuant to Section 213-384 of the Babylon Town Code. The site is surrounded by a variety of warehouse and industrial uses. To the north, it abuts a vacant lot, Zone G Industry, and an unopened paper street. The site improvements consist of two existing masonry warehouse buildings, which we believe were built both in the 1960s. Building number one, the larger building, is 57,014 square feet, which will be divided into 1,000 square feet of clerical and bathroom use, and then remainder will be strictly for warehouse. Building two, which is a smaller warehouse, is 7,141 square feet, which will be strictly warehouse. Just so this board knows the type of business that we're talking about, petitioner's business is the acquisition of wholesale oil and automotive lubricant supplies that they obtain throughout the Northeast, and which is packaged and wrapped on pallets at the manufacturer's plant out in wherever they are located, and then they are shipped by tractor trailer to the petitioner's warehouse. The product is received at the warehouse in the shipping bays, removed by forklifts, and stored inside the warehouse. Thereafter, the wrapped pallets, they're all wrapped in shrink wrap, they're organized for shipment back to the petitioner's other distribution warehouse in Wyandanch. The pallets in their original protective wrapping are then loaded by forklift into trucks parked in the bays and transported to the Wyandanch warehouse. It is very important that this board understand and the public know that all of the oil product is contained in either 1-quart containers, 5-quart containers, or 55-gallon drums. They are all organized, again, off-site at the manufacturer's location on pallets and then transported in their shrink-wrap pallets and delivered by trailer to the petitioner. Once they're received at the warehouse, the product is not separated at any time until it is delivered to the Wyandanch site. So all these pallets are coming in mass. They're moved by forklift to locations in the warehouse, and in no time is anybody taking any of those smaller containers off of the pallets. The containers are singularly and separately packaged from each other, limiting any potential environmental damage if one of the containers might be compromised by a forklift prong hitting it. But again, you're only hitting one container. Accordingly, we believe that there's really no significant environmental threat posed by the storage of these individualized containers and pallets, and we are willing to put on the record that we will maintain that type of oil storage. We will not be storing anything in larger containers. It's very important that this board understand we do not have any large above ground or below ground oil storage tanks. The largest product that we're talking about is a 55-gallon drum, and that is, again, that's the extent of it all. Just so that you know that from the time it's distributed, by the time it's received in this warehouse, then goes to Wyandanch, the product is distributed to retail establishments, Costco, your local gas stations, AutoZone, anything. I don't know how many people change their oil these days, but that's where you would go, and that's where the product is going. And we represent about 60 to 70% of that type of business in Suffolk County. The site is regulated by the Suffolk County Department of Health Office of Pollution Control because it's storage of petroleum product. I am proud to say and provide to the board the decision of the Board of Review granting permission for the storage of the oil product at this site.
Please hand it to Matt. Thank you.
The paramount concern of the Board of Review was the containment of the product on the site, and which is complicated because we, of course, have garage doors for the loading bays and also doors that you exit out, that the people would exit out. The petitioner is proposing a 100% secondary containment system, which was approved by the Board of Health, using a dual masonry and epoxy covered floor and a state-of-the-art barrier flapping mechanism at each of the doors and shipping bays, creating a fully surrounded dike system. This design will ensure a complete containment system, safeguarding all water resources of the town and the county. Petitioner has hired Quartrex Environmental, a design containment company out of Quebec, which identified this new concept, which has currently received municipal approvals both internationally and nationally, including California, New York, and Suffolk County. We have a video that I would hope that the board will watch, but when we get to it, I just will describe what we're doing inside that warehouse. They're constructing 2-foot-high masonry bulkheads at the door openings and the loading bays, and applying the approved epoxy coating to the surfaces. So none of the oil can seep through any of the cement or any pores of that nature. This epoxy coating and the bulkhead construction meets the requirements of Suffolk County Sanitary Code Article 12. Then we will install the liquid-tight barriers as manufactured by Anham LLC. They will function during the emergency condition such as oil spills. The interesting part of this operation or mechanism is that no exterior activation by electric is required. The liquid stop barriers are an automatic device that is to be installed in each of the bay and door openings for the retention of both flammable and non-flammable liquids of any type. And what's interesting, it is literally activated by the spilling liquid itself. The barrier is designed as a floating device. During the seepage of the liquid into the pan of the liquid stop barrier, the inlaid barrier is displaced and swims on top of the liquid. It does not require any external energy source, no hydraulics, no pneumatics, nor electricity. The only powering energy is the spilling liquid itself that needs to be collected and pushes up the barrier to a defined fluid level. The barrier will then be closed tightly by the traction force and will be sealed by a chemical-resistant PTFE seals. The seals are installed on the posts on left and right side of the bays and the door openings, and along the floor in the width of the entire opening, so that they will seal everything and keep the liquid, any spill liquid, within the dike system itself. With that, I would ask that Mr. Esposito turn on the first video. If I could ask the board members, that first video is that the installation? We want to do the installation first?
We all have screens in front of us, so.
Oh, okay, great,
So
great.
we don't have to turn it
Terrific.
back.
All right,
But
then.
we are watching
I
everything.
won't ask you as my non.
No, that's all right, it's fine. I just
All
wanted
right.
to let the audience
This
know.
is the installation. This is the product as it comes in from Canada. Actually, it's manufactured in Canada and also Germany. That is literally the product being installed in front of the bay or the door. Obviously, it's a very extensive construction project. But it's important because it has to seal all the openings. Sometimes it's not the most interesting video, but we'll be getting there. Now, those are the two pieces on each end of the opening. Then this is what would happen once it's installed. Then the warehouse can operate. Oh, okay, this is showing actually how the water literally activates that system. And again, it does not need electricity. It does, so if anybody's concerned about a storm or anything like that, and you see how it flips up and creates that permanent seal. So all of that liquid is behind the dike system and cannot extend to outside, cannot contaminate outside. And the last one is just showing how the forklifts operate over the barriers. As you can see, they're going pretty fast. We wouldn't be going that fast, but it has not an impediment to moving the product around. That's fine. I think it conveys the message of how a warehouse would be operating with that system. The estimated cost to acquire and install the containment system is $500,000. The system has received approvals from the FM approval, and it provides an absolute protection, 100% protection, containment protection for this site. I will defer to Anthony Garrett, the architect, in a minute to describe the actual site plan improvements But just for just for the board's information, we are scheduled to spend close to $2 million in improvement at the site. As I indicated, this is approximately 1960 building. The fire sprinkler system has been updated. It's cost of $750,000. The fire alarm system is going to cost $200,000. All of the electrical and the lighting systems have or will be replaced with current lighting systems. Again, this was used as a bus depot, which I presume they did some of their repairs inside, and it's an old building, to say the least. That we have to, according to the town and the engineering department, we're going to be putting in new drainage improvements, and just as important, that's $300,000. The electrical and lighting is $250,000, and the fencing and landscaping. Right now, Mr. Garrett will provide some copies of the photographs of the landscaping. There is no landscaping. And the fencing is probably 35 years old. The fencing and landscape itself is going to cost another $200,000. And we expect to hire local employees of approximately 15 to 18 employees. And with that, I will turn this over to Mr. Garrett.
Okay, before Mr. Garrett comes up, do any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Conway at this point? No? Yes, one? Sorry, please go ahead.
Mr. Conway, you touched in great detail on the containment system. It sounded pretty good, but my understanding is that you have a limit from the health department of number of gallons of product that you're able to store on site. Could you expand on that? And then expand a little further on the fire protection system. You mentioned the fire sprinkler system, but if you could go into a little bit about the prevention of a fire and any remedial actions that would take if there was any event.
I will.
In addition, I didn't see it in the memo and in the conditions or covenants, but will your client covenant that there'll be no outside storage of any
Oh, absolutely.
petroleum or
Absolutely.
other products?
I would need
Okay,
a
let's take them
variance.
one at a time. Okay.
Yes, the answer is yes.
The first question that Mr. Casey's asked.
Yes, Mr. Casey, we are limited, as you can see by that resolution, the approval to,
Start with the Health Department resolution.
yes, the Health Department resolution to, I believe, 750. I gave all my resolutions away.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. I knew I came out here for one. There you go. You're here relieved now. 767,625 gallons. That's a condition of their approval as well. So yes, we will covenant to that as well, that it will not exceed that.
And
And
the other question had to do with fire suppression. You'll get into that with.
we'll let the architect
All right,
give you
fine.
a far
And
more
any-
knowledgeable response.
Anybody else have a question? And we'll also ask the architect about the other item that Mr. Casey asked about. Okay, so your architect,
Thank you.
please come on up. Okay, do we have that?
Yeah, this is all stuff.
Okay. All right, well, they can see everything that's behind us too, so. Well, that's a different story. They get it closer to you, so there are no excuses. And we could we can hear you and be properly recorded. Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah. Anthony Garrett, Garrett, Bill Garrett Group Architects and Planners, 161 Main Street, Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. I'm licensed in the state of New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole
I do.
truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Okay. Thank you. So again, I don't want to repeat what Mr. Conway stated, but I would like to walk through the site plan, and I will indicate that right now I'm referring to SP 100. We have been working in close concert with the town and their departments. We've incorporated a lot of the comment letters that we received. We've addressed those comments, working through with engineering, traffic, environmental, et cetera. And if I could, Matt, could you just go back to that aerial? So that aerial really tells a great story. If you look closely at that aerial, there are well over 50 to 60 buses parked on that site. This was a bus facility, bus maintenance facility. That's all gone now, and that's not coming back as part of this application. If I would describe this as actually a de-intensification of this site, because we're talking about reducing the number of overhead doors. There are 27 doors there right now. We're closing up 20 of those doors. We are adding in the location of 2 of those doors, we're putting 2 loading docks in each of those bays. So again, we are significantly reducing the number of overhead doors in and out of this facility, as well as the trips generated in and out of this site from what was there previously. If you could go back to the SP 100, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to walk over. I'm going to carry the microphone, I hope, a little bit.
Just don't unplug yourself.
I won't go too far.
May I suggest you just
Yep.
move the, Matt, can you help me, please? How many people does it take to move it depends. One
You
lawyer,
left
one
out architect. How many
and-
architects?
And an engineer, 3. Okay. There we go. We're going to be looking at
Okay,
everything
that's
Matt's
fine.
looking at, so.
So yeah, that'll be great, because then I can like point to the areas on the site.
That's fine.
So there are 2 buildings.
Hold on, Matt follows you with the cursor. I just want to let everybody know, whatever he's pointing on, he will have that cursor on.
There are 2 buildings on the site. The main building, 57,000 square feet, and what we refer to as the north building, which is a little over 7,100 square feet. Both of the buildings will be used for storage, warehouse storage of oil and petroleum products serving the automotive industry. And at first blush, everybody freaks out when they hear oil. We've actually worked with the client on other facilities, and probably 80 to 90% of the product there is known as a combustible liquid. And I'm being a little wordsmithy, but there's a big difference in the building code in terms of hazard. I apologize, you can't see me, but that might be an improvement.
That's all right, we can hear you.
Yep. So combustible products are not nearly as dangerous as flammable products because of I won't get into all the details, but flash points, where the material gets volatile and gets airborne, that's really where you run into more hazards. So what we've done based on the geometry of the site is the larger building, the 57,000 square foot building, is really used for the storage of the combustible liquids at the site, most of the oils. The north building, which is a much smaller footprint, 7,100 square feet, would be a combination of some flammable materials. And like STP, believe it or not, the treatments, that's flammable because of where the flash point is on that. Windshield washer fluid is a flammable as opposed to a combustible. So the smaller footprint building was more conducive for that storage so that we could ensure that it would comply based on the construction type, being 2B non-combustible, to meet the requirements for an H3 hazardous material storage. That's how the building code defines the hazard based on flammability, and we've done the analysis. We've met with the fire marshal. They're aware of this project, and we will meet and have met all the requirements of New York State Building Code, New York State Fire Code, et cetera. So, as I mentioned previously, the larger building here, the main building, we're closing up 20 of those overhead doors. They're overhead doors facing north and south on this building. And we are proposing along the north side 2 tailboard loading docks. We graded them down, they're retaining walls, and there would be dock levelers for the receipt of the trailers. And you can see by the parking layout, we've allowed ample room for truck maneuverability. In your packet, there is a circulation map, which has been submitted to engineering, we're in agreement that we meet the requirements to move tractor trailers in and out of this site without affecting the parking areas. The smaller building to the north, we are proposing one tailboard loading dock facing east, again with retaining walls, and then closing up an existing overhead door along the south facade as well. In terms of the site, we are restriping the parking areas. We're showing the requisite number of handicap stalls. We're required to have 7 handicap stalls, and that's what we're proposing. And they are scattered around the building. Some of the other features, working closely with your planning department, we've eliminated some parking stalls that were in the front yard previously. We're redoing aprons and entrances where they are damaged right now. So it's a real refresh of the site. And we've worked with your traffic consultants to, and we've modified our circulation for vehicular traffic as well. And you'll notice we really have very little, we have no tractor trailer maneuvering on the south side of the building. That's really restricted to the north side of the building. The overhead doors, which are located along that side to remain, really are for smaller van-type vehicles that would pull up to those doors. The other thing we've done on the site is this one, this you don't have necessarily you have the drawing in your packet, but we took the opportunity to put some greens on here. The green is the landscape plan. We are proposing a significant amount of evergreen buffer along the north side of the site. That's where the property abuts the residential zone. We have the requisite 5-foot buffer over there. We're also increasing the landscaping along Court Street with low shrubs in that area. And there are some substantial trees on the area. And the rest of the green you can see on the landscape plan. There are existing trees, there's lawn, and we're going to preserve that. We're also going to repair the fences along the north side of the building. And the fences, I'm going to hand these photographs out.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was that, Denise? Right, you've got to go back to the mic. We have to transcribe all of this. And you could put Mr. Darrell Conway to work to hand out anything else.
Well, I had to hand them that resolution, so we're even now. But you can see we're proposing a good amount of landscaping along the site. And just anecdotally, you see all those little heavy clouds on the drawings. Those are revisions that we've made along the way, addressing comments that we received from Town of Babylon. So we're working with the town very closely on this. I'm gonna go behind the mic. That's what I'm gonna do. Matt, I'm on sheet A101A, which is the floor plan of the main building. You could just zoom out a little bit, I'd appreciate it. Perfect, thank you. So you can see the areas here, these kind of heavy black lines. Those are doors that we're closing up. You can see the loading docks along the north side of the building. If you look closely, you can see the new masonry dikes that we're constructing around the loading doors. And we're putting on the 2-foot-high masonry dike in conjunction with a moat system. So where the barrier flips up, there will be a concrete moat with a trench grate on top of it. So that will have leak detection in it. The leak detection will be wired to central stations, notify central stations that there is indeed a leak. It will also notify oil and lubricant personnel that there is a leak so that people can come to the site in case of an emergency. And I would point out that there are features on site, the oil mix that you would soak fluid up with so that it wouldn't leak all over the place. So we have secondary and tertiary protection to prevent any kind of discharge of hazardous material to the exterior. We went through this in great detail with the health department. They were very concerned about it. It actually gives us a little bit more containment in the building. We're providing 110% containment of all the fluid in the building based on the geometry and the calculations of the cubic volume. And similarly, we're doing the same thing at the north building. At some of the required egress doors for people to get out of the building, we've analyzed our egress travel. We've created ramps up to doors. We have a 2-foot barricade in front of the door, and on the outside of the building, have a ramp back down or a set of stairs if we don't need barrier-free access to allow people to exit the building without breaching the containment area. Mr. Conway mentioned that the building sprinkler systems have been upgraded. They've been hydraulically designed. They've been approved by the fire marshal's office. The calculation was done hydraulically, analyzing the most remote area and density of water sprinkler system to extinguish a fire, and it meets all the requirements of New York State Fire Code and NFPA 13. So this is a fully engineered, brand new sprinkler system throughout both buildings. Some of the other minor things we're doing in terms of the enclosure of the existing doors, we're cladding that with an acrylic stucco over insulation. So we're actually improving the thermal benefits of this building slightly as well. Everything meets the new energy code. And again, we think it's more aesthetically pleasing to be looking at an opaque surface with some decorative grooves in there aesthetically, as opposed to the old overhead doors. Aside from that, I mean, there's a full alarm system, fire alarm system, in conjunction with the spill detection system. They actually work together and go to the same central stations. So that's my story.
All right. Do any of the board members have any questions? And Julianne, I know you had one before, too.
I'm sorry, mentioned 15 to 18 employees? Tremendous amount of parking space there. What is that to be utilized for?
We have to meet the code based on the size of the building for the parking stalls. We don't plan on using those parking stalls for anything.
Nothing to be sold to the public?
No.
Okay. And the hours of operation?
I'm going to defer to, or ask the question of my client, what are the hours of operation? 8 to 6, but was there something in the covenants? We will adhere to what's in those covenants, but it's like a 8 to 6 operation.
Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Juan?
Okay, good evening. Are you able to speak on that dike system that we saw the videos about?
To a degree, well, I suggested it to my client, so I hope I can speak on it.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions regarding that system. Number one, what is the lifespan? What is the manufactured lifespan of this system?
Well, they've been in place for 30 years in Europe, these dike systems, so they're pretty lengthy. It's all stainless steel, so it doesn't corrode. And again, there's a maintenance plan. As part of the approvals from Suffolk County, the petitioner had to agree to perform both monthly and quarterly maintenance. The quarterly and biannual, I think, semi-annual, I'm sorry, not every 2 years. Every half year, the manufacturer comes down. And there's an entire protocol that was added to the submission to Suffolk County as part of their approval. Suffolk County Health, that is.
Okay. If you don't mind, if you share that with us, we'd
Sure.
like to have that as part of the file. Anything else?
I'm not sure if I missed it. I know you said that they were in place in Europe for 30 years. How long should one system last?
They're still in operation, so I think it's...
None of them have ever broken?
No. It's a very simple system.
Okay.
There are no mechanical pieces to it, so it's however long the stainless steel will last, which is indefinite, in my opinion.
Okay. And then my second question, I believe you addressed it, but I think you said on a monthly basis has to be maintenance and calibrated or whatever.
Maintenance, I wouldn't say calibration. That maintenance involves personnel going around the building, ensuring that the debris is cleaned out of it so it doesn't get gunked up and not operate. You know, it's like a vacuum. And then quarterly, there's a little bit more involved maintenance program. And then, like I said, semi-annually, the manufacturer will come down and do a manufacturer's check.
Very good, thank you.
Frank?
Which we stipulated to the county.
Yeah, I mentioned that, yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Questions. The epoxy. Hi. The epoxy floor, is that being turned up on the walls?
Yes.
For how high?
Well, at least 2 feet to maintain that barricade, yeah. Might go higher just aesthetically, but I can stipulate that it would go to the same height as the dike that was calculated for the containment area, which is 2 feet.
Okay. And the dock levelers, where you're having the dock levelers come in, that's also going to be around the dock levelers, or how does it work by the dock
No,
levelers?
what we did at the docks is we built this additional wall, this 2-foot-high dike, and we have our barricades inboard by about 20 feet from the actual dock leveler. So it's a good question because, you know, how do you make that barrier work at a dock? We couldn't get it to work at the dock leveler, so we created a secondary dike inboard.
And the other building, the small building, same system?
Yes.
Okay, and the last question, going back to the loading docks. The outside catch basins that are out there, are they going just to the sewer system? Where are they going?
The storm drainage is going,
Because the truck's backing
yeah.
up. And then they're going into the trucks to, how's that material coming out of the truck?
A forklift will drive into the back of the truck, pick up the sealed vessels, okay, and back them out. There is no opening of vessels in the truck, or even in the building for that
No
matter.
spillage on the outside
No.
going into the
That is correct.
catch basins that are
It'd
there?
be no different than any other industrial building. And by the way, as part of the design, we've increased the storm drainage on the site because engineering felt it was deficient, although it's an existing condition and quite, you know, we want to do the right thing. So we are almost doubling the amount of stormwater management that's on the site today. And we had to do something at the loading docks anyway because we're draining down to those.
Right,
So if
Dan?
if a forklift accidentally pierced one of the 55-gallon shrink-wrapped pallets, and that proceeded to spill out of the tractor trailer and seep into the actual bay, what is the mechanism to stop the oil from seeping into the drainage for that's purpose is for
Well, I did state earlier, there will be portable Speedy Mix to soak up any kind of inadvertent spillage, okay? If that happened in the truck, we would stipulate that we would have those Speedy Dry containers and mop it up next to those loading docks, in addition to inside the building. We would add those at the loading docks.
how many Speedy Dry systems are you anticipating to have at this facility?
I think in the larger building, there would probably be at least a dozen, and we would go beyond that to make sure we have enough at those loading docks.
And those Speedy Dry systems, they normally come in a 55-gallon drum themselves with all the...
They're blankets, there's also drums of Speedy Dry. It's a whole system, and we'll be happy to submit that for the board, you know, for the town's review, but we'll make those available at the loading doors.
Ed, any questions?
If from the oils and some of the volatile material you said is going to be there, what system are you using to get rid of fumes and things like that?
Well, none of it's open, so
I
it's all
understand that.
closed vessels, so there'll be no fumes getting into the atmosphere, either in the building or outside the building.
None at all?
Not at all. When you go to Home Depot, assuming you go to Home Depot or a store like that, they have the same type of storage in those buildings. When you go to the automotive parts area, they have the same materials that the petitioner is storing, and selling to them and delivering to them. And they don't have any specialized system in a Home Depot where they have vast volumes of this material. So it's, it's very similar operation.
I don't know if theirs would be as large as yours. That's what I'm getting to. You're
They're-
talking about an extremely large system, and definitely you're going to be smelling oils or other, you didn't mention which volatile materials you would have, but I'm sure you're going to smell it. And I would think,
I've been in their facility in Wyandanch, and I have not picked up a scent of oil in their building because it's all closed containers. I would agree with you if we were opening and transferring fluids, or if we had large vessels, 10,000, 15,000 tanks that then would be flowing into a mixing operation to get into these smaller vessels. But that's not the case here. These are all relatively small containers that are sealed and not opened. So I respectfully would offer that there is no odor coming from this building.
Any other questions? Matt, could we go back to the photo we had of the prior operation? I'm just curious. And that's where is Sunrise Highway here? Right there, yeah. Yeah, I'm very familiar with this area, of course, driving by it so many times. It always struck me that when it was a bus depot and it was a cold winter day, you would see these diesel engines that powered the buses with huge exhausts of, well, probably most of it was steam, but it was, this will be a significant improvement over that.
Absolutely. That was the first, that whole operation
Yeah.
has ceased and desisted.
So getting back to the line, the north property line, that's the area where you're going to be doing that landscaping?
Yes.
Could you describe that a little bit more for us?
The landscaping would comprise arborvitae, 6 to 8 feet tall, spaced about 6 feet on center in the 5-foot buffer area. And we propose to add vinyl slats to the fencing along the property line there and repairing the fence.
So there'll be vinyl slats, nobody will be seen into the area that'll provide an additional.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions, comments? Is there anyone from the public here that would like to address the board regarding this?
Mr. Chairman, I still have a bit of my presentation.
Oh, all right, that's fine. Come on up, Mr. Conway.
As I mentioned before, this is a two-prong hearing, and that's why I need to go into the informational part of the town board hearing that hopefully we get to for their determination. And I just want to make certain that Mr. Casey was sufficiently informed of the fire protection. Is good? Okay, great. As I indicated, this is not only a site plan review application, but it's also an informational hearing for the special exception use permit application to the town board pursuant to section 213, 383 and 384. The verbiage in that statement or in that category says petroleum products, refining or storage of wholesale storage of petroleum products. We believe that was when it was drafted 50 years ago. That was really pertaining to the refining of oil, of the manufacturing of oil. But nevertheless, it does say wholesale storage of petroleum product, and that's what we are doing, is the wholesale storage of petroleum products. So we are required to go to the town board for a special exception use. I believe from the testimony of Mr. Garrett and the information provided to this board, we have demonstrated that we've satisfied each of the conditions recited in 213, 383, and 384. Unfortunately, just for the record, I have to go through each of those conditions. It starts off with such use is reasonable and necessary will be in harmony with and promote the general interest and welfare of the surrounding community. As indicated before in the memo, the planning, this is a G industry zone. It is surrounded by G industry uses, warehousing, other industrial uses. So it is in harmony of the surrounding community. We're not doing anything other than what was there and has been there since the 1960s. The neighborhood character and surrounding property values are reasonably safeguarded. As you, Mr. Chairman, mentioned, this in fact is a de-intensification of the prior use. And in fact, we believe that this use of strictly warehousing will enhance the value rather than, and will reasonably safeguard the value of the surrounding community. It will not prevent the orderly or reasonable use of the adjacent property. We are not, the number of truck traffic is far less than the bus depot was, and all of this is coming onto Cedar and also Court Street. It's not going north into the residential area. It's coming off of Sunrise, which is only 2 blocks south of the subject location. The site is particularly suitable for the location of such use. It is in the middle of an industrial zoned area. It is surrounded, as you see on your laptops and also the overhead projection. You could see that area is very much an industrial zoned and industrial used area. The access facilities are adequate for the estimated traffic from public streets, and there will be no traffic congestion. Again, we're going from 55, 60 buses that would take off usually at 7 o'clock in the morning and then come back at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We are doing a delivery time period over a span of hours, and certainly reducing the amount of traffic in the area. Ms. Nolan brought up a talk about off-street parking. I wanted to clarify that to make certain. We're required by code to show that number of parking spaces on the site plan. I'd be more than willing to say we can, well, we can't land bank it because I don't want to lose the asphalt or the maneuverability of that area. But that's the only reason why you are seeing so many parking spaces lined on that lot. So it's certainly sufficient for the proposed use, more than sufficient, because if we're hoping to have 15 to 18 employees, I believe our parking calculations are 126, so there'll be over 100 parking spaces not used, and we will not rent them out. The proposed use will not pose risk to the public health and safety, as we indicated in the Board of Health approval. That body has deemed it to be a safe use. The character of the proposed use is not such that the location will be unsuitable. We're not near a church, a school, theater, senior citizens residence, or recreational area, or any other place of assembly. I know this is boring, but this is the statute, so I'm just reading from it. There's adequate buffer yards and screening, as Mr. Garrett mentioned. There's also, we have more than enough storage for the collection and disposal of stormwater runoff, and we're hooked to the Suffolk County sewer system for our interior, but again, our bathrooms are going to be nominal, maybe 2. I presume we're going to have 2, and we're not producing much sewage at all. And then the natural characteristics of the site are such that the proposed use may be introduced without undue disturbance or destruction of natural features. If there were any natural features there, they're gone. This is strictly a flat piece of asphalt with a warehouse, 2 warehouse buildings on there. So we are not changing any natural characteristics. The lot area is more than sufficient. We're talking about 4.14 acres. That is I would say 8 times the minimum required lot area for a G industry zone. We are, the use is in compliance with the code, just something that should be noted. We are not asking for any variances in this. So we are complying with all the code, and this goes back to what was already discussed. The proposed use will not result in unacceptable levels of noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor. Just to go back, Mr. Nguyen, about the odor, all of this product is contained. It is never being opened, so there will not be any fumes coming out of these metal and plastic containers. We are, in fact, reducing the amount of noise and odor from the old school bus depot. With that, I'd be more than willing to answer any questions on that little.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Conway? No? Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to hear from the public. Is there anyone from the public here that would like to address the board? Okay, take your time. Thank you for coming. Please state your name and address for the record.
Audrey Fitchett, 415 41st Street, Copiague, New York, 11726.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Nothing but the truth.
Please proceed.
My main concern is the tractor trailers. When they leave the depot, they might come in on Ralph, but when they leave the depot, they come down to Atlantic. From Atlantic, they turn on 41st Street.
Matt, could you just run the, your cursor, the area that we're discussing right now? Okay, Atlantic, yeah? Okay, and 41st, all right, thank you.
Pardon me?
No, I'm just to continue.
Okay,
I
so
just wanna
that's
make
my
sure
main
we're real
concern.
clear as to what-
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is if they come in on Ralph and whatever they have to unload the trucks, then why can't they just make a turn and go back on Ralph and go wherever instead of coming down a residential street? And they have done it several times. And this morning, they had a truck parked on Atlantic. I guess the truck was waiting to go where they had to put the stuff. So I just stood there and waited for a while to see if the truck was going to move. But the guy was out like he was tightening up stuff. And then maybe an hour or so later, the truck came back down 41st Street and it was empty. So that's my main concern. 41st Street is residential. There should be no tractor trailers or anything like that, because we do have kids out there. That's a school bus right on the corner of 41st and Atlantic. And I've also noticed that I witnessed this myself. One morning I was taking my daughter to school. She has to be to school at 7 o'clock. So I was going down Atlantic. There was a tractor trailer coming off of Ralph, and he took up the whole road, like you make that wide turn, took up the whole road going into the yard. He had to wait and someone come to unlock the gate for him to come in. And this was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So in other words, I had to sit there and wait till he moved, or I had to turn around and go back the other way. So that's an inconvenience. So I think we do have a little bit of a problem here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Please give Matt your card. Please state your name and address for the record.
Georgia Eason.
You can talk right into that mic. Pull it down so it's closer. There you go. Perfect.
Georgia Eason, 450 41st Street.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Okay. I'm wondering, why is it just one entrance to the building, and that's only on Atlantic? And the noise level has not been reduced. I am exactly behind it, the building.
Okay, Matt, where is the house? What was that address again? Your house, we can zoom in on that.
My house or
Yeah.
the
Your-
gate? It's only one gate entrance. They enter from Atlantic into the back of the building.
All right, I'm asking Matt to kind of zoom in on that. Can you do that for us, right there? Is that your house?
My house?
Yeah, your cursor, you see the cursor? Where it is there?
Okay.
Is that
There's
your-
a unpaved street, and my house is in front of
Is that
the,
the house? Okay, good, we just, Matt.
And
okay,
the
wait,
noise
he's
level
pulling-
is
he's pulling
still-
up right now. Of course, we could use a little faster server, but we want to see exactly where you live, so we know
Okay.
exactly what you're talking about.
$450.
Four,
450.
450
No, I'm 41st.
and 41st Street.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, 450, 41st Street. Is that your property, right there? Right off the paper street? Okay.
Yes.
got it. Okay, so go,
And
let's
it's-
start from the beginning. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh. And as far as the noise level, it's just saying you hear bumping, and it could be all starting at least about 7:30 in the morning.
Anything else?
I think that's it, pretty
All right, well,
much.
thank
But
you
I
so-
do need to know, why is it just, they use just that one gate on Atlantic?
Well, we're going to ask.
And it's locked half of the time.
We're gonna
That's why they
ask
have to
that
wait to
question.
enter. Okay?
Understood. Thanks for coming down. Sir, come on up. Please give Matt your card. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Kenwin Edwards. I live next to this lady. I live 456 41st Street.
Okay.
She
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the
swear to
truth.
tell the truth, the whole truth.
You've got that, Matt, 456,
Yeah.
41st. There we go, right there. Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
I'm exactly, myself and this lady is exactly on the fence line of this factory. And we have been living there a long time. We have been there since the flower people was there. We was there when the bus company was there. This is different. This is serious. They have been doing construction there for the longest while, and we just know lately when we get this mail about what's going on. But they have been pumping work in the back there, 6 in the morning to 7 in the night or later. I mean, come on. Y'all can come and say something, or let the town do something about it, send out a mail or to the people. You know? They have a dead end in the corner in the back of me on that street. So their trucks, they're talking about the tractor trailers. Their tractor trailers could only go up and go out the other street. It's a lot of noise. This is not cars, this is tractor trailers. And these guys come from a long way, and they'll be humping down there for a long while before they get in the gates. I mean, why Copeg? Y'all can find nowhere else to do this? We have retirees live there. People, you know, people work all their life. Waking up with a truck in the morning, that ain't right. Kids going to school. You know, here comes this big truck that they run across, you know, stay inside. And, I mean, come on. Why Copeg? This is my question. Why Copeg? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Did Matt give you a card? Oh, you got it, right. Great. Okay, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Beverly Elliott, 445 41st Street, Copeg.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Okay, with my concern is also the noise. I know landscapers cannot cut lawns until 8 o'clock in the morning. So y'all gonna be open up at 6 o'clock in the morning? I would like for them to explain that. And accidents happens. We deal with a lot of drunk drivers that's on drugs, alcohol. And my concern is accidents with these rigs. Are this company gonna be responsible for the drivers if they cause an accident because they're behind the wheel drinking or they on drugs? Are they gonna be responsible for those drivers? So that's my concern. My concern is the traffic, and my concern is the children in the community. You don't know where these truck drivers are coming from. Are our children gonna be saved? As everybody know, that children are being missing, especially black children all over the world, and nobody know where they are. We don't know where these people are coming from. And the architecture that's doing this work in Jersey, I just visited my sister in Jersey, and that Jersey Turnpike was so smelly from pollution, and that's my concern. I am retired now, and I pray that God will add years to my life, and I don't want to end up dying because of this all thing that they building in the community. And my concern is, when he said that the same thing they have in Wyandanch, and my concern is why do they always put stuff in the black neighborhood? So that's my concern.
Thank you very much. Sir, could you give Matt the card when you get a chance?
My wife and I's name.
Oh, okay, good. Please state
She's
your
the
name.
boss.
Please state your name. and
Calvin
address.
Elliott, 445 43rd Street, Copiague, New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Just was sitting here listening to the plans and everything like that, and the plans sound great, and they know what they're doing with building stuff. But when it came to the safety, seemed that they was just didn't really make an impact, or didn't put a lot of emphasis or forethought on people's health in the community. When it came to that, oh, we'll do it, or we'll do this, or we'll, so where's the forethought for the community? And then one of the things that says it will help enhance the community's home value. This is what we have. We worked all our life, we own our homes. I don't see how that's gonna enhance where we live already. We're already over-industrialized where we live. And so to make that statement, I think that was a poor statement to make. And when I see the things that they said they put in place for the spills and for this and for that, but there's not going to be any smells because everything's contained, but then you're telling me there's a possibility for smells. There's a possibility for spills. That's kind of confusing to me. Everything is in containers. You don't have to worry about it, but we got all these things in place for spills. So that's is not clear with that. And then you walk into Home Depot, it's the same smell, but this is all this place does is oils. That didn't make any sense to me. And to say it's in harmony with the community people that's sitting here is not in harmony with us, not at all. No, everybody's for business and this and that, but it's 200 feet away from my neighbor's house, and I live across the street from her. And we just want to look at, and we're concerned about the health impact for this coming in. And we know the bus company was there. We put in complaint concerning the bus company so they wouldn't turn all the buses on at the same time. So that reduced it greatly. But we're really concerned about the impact of our health. That's the main concern. And I don't think that was, I don't think the same emphasis was put in putting this building together and getting this place going up than looking at the impact of our health in the community. And that's our concern. Anywhere there's oil, it is an environmental hazard, period. So, thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name. For the record, address?
It's Reggie Williams, 363 40th Street. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, well then, amen.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm all for business in the community because it should. I got to address you.
You have to address the board.
I'm all for business in our community because it helps ease any abandonment. That keeps any crime and anything to a minimum. I'm in the construction industry. I know what spills and oils and all this stuff is about. Accidents do happen. We're doing the same thing this company is alleged to be doing. Everything is fine until an accident happens. We know when spills happen, we can throw all the speedy dry we want, but it does seep into the concrete. How do they manage to get that out so it doesn't seep any further, number one? Number two, how are they going to secure the area in the middle of the night? That's another one. And my neighbors have concerns of trucks going off street, off course, or where they're supposed to be going. I'm not there in that time of morning because I'm already at work. So I'm not privy to any noise. However, what trucks will be coming in and what protocols does the trucks have as far as DEF, if you're familiar with that now? All the trucks are running DEF to diminish the emissions. Are those trucks running in the neighborhood? And that's basically my concerns. And we're just adding on to anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will try to.
Could you address a number of the concerns?
Yes, I will. And first, I'm a little bit concerned, a little bit confused. Where is Atlantic?
Atlantic, Matt?
Right there?
Yes.
Okay, but
You've
on
got
our map.
Cedar Street that runs into Atlantic.
Okay, so on our map, we are abutting, that would be called Cedar.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand it. We will direct our deliveries to come in through Sunrise Highway, Ralph, come in and then come back out that map or that direction. We certainly can dictate that to our trucking companies that they must stay on the industrial roads, just Sunrise, if they're coming in. They're certainly, I would think they would be coming in through Sunrise, but we will direct that they come back out, do not go into the residential area. And I know that we've had this conversation with the Manhattan Beer Distributorship and their truck drivers. Truckers don't like going into residences because the turning radius is not proper. So, but we will address the issues that are raised by our citizens and eliminate truck traffic into the residential area.
That's what we need to do. I presume your client would have no objection to a covenant to that effect.
Absolutely not.
Okay, which means
we wouldn't have any
they are not
objection.
permitted to go into the residential area, period.
Correct.
And we will hold your client accountable for that.
Absolutely. And yes, the answer is yes. And I've been down at that site many times, and I would be very surprised that they wouldn't come out of Cedar, come down to Ralph, and scoot over to Straight Path. And if they're going to go north, that's where I would think they would go, or directly right into Sunrise Highway on the street that comes meets Sunrise Highway at the controlled intersection. That's a far better traffic pattern than going through any residential area. So we certainly would do that. As to the hours of operation, we've already spoken about that, and I know that from representing a former bus company, they start their operations, especially if they're transporting I know West Babylon starts at 7 o'clock. Their bus depot is operating at 6. That's when they start. We are not planning on doing that. Our hours of operation are a lot less. We will be responsible for our drivers. And any driver that is caught or even suspected of drug or alcohol use during their operation would be terminated. We obviously would be responsible if there are any accidents, if somebody gets hurt because of our drivers. That we don't want that to happen, but we do have insurance.
Do the truck drivers, given the size of the cargo and all that, are they periodically drug tested as part of their license?
Yes, they are.
That's what I thought. Okay. And of course, if there's any suspicion of that, the owners of the company can demand a drug and alcohol test at any given time.
Correct. And we wouldn't, and that's the last thing we want to get involved in. I mean, it's certainly in the best interest of everybody to keep somebody like that off the road, both for the residents and our company. As to we've already cleared up the issue of traffic. We will eliminate traffic. We will not let it go onto the residential areas. One of the couple of issues, I did mention that I believe that, in fact, the controlled warehouse use is a better use, de-intensification, than a bus depot use. They don't come in on a bus depot. They don't come in, turn the bus on, and bolt out of that depot. They let these buses idle for quite a while, and I think that's far less intrusive than. I'm sorry. I think that's far more intrusive than a warehouse use. It is the use itself. If you look at I keep on saying look at the screen, but if you look at your laptops, you'll see that we are in harmony with the G industry zone that's there. And we will attempt to, health is certainly something that we will look at and maintain. Mr. Williams came up and spoke about controlling the spill. The reason why we have so many alternatives is because we want to make certain that there isn't a spill. So I don't want to be found guilty of saying that we're going to have spills, because that's why we have literally a tertiary level of spill control, because we're going overboard just to make certain nothing will happen. And just remember, go back to how this is what this is about. Any spill would have to be a man-made, man-caused spill. And really what you're talking about is a prong on a forklift. So you have people right there. It's not, a spill could not happen overnight at 2 o'clock in the morning. It just doesn't, it's not combustible. What would happen if there's any spill is if the prong of the forklift pierces a tank or something of that nature, or pierces a quart bottle on the pallet. There are people there. We'd obviously react like that. And the other thing is how to secure the lot at night. It's locked. It's locked, and we have security lighting in compliance with the county, in compliance with the town requirements.
Are there security cameras?
Security cameras?
In addition?
We will be putting in security cameras. Now, the other thing is, and I think that addresses all the items. The one other thing is gates. We have 4 entrances. I don't know why it was mentioned we only have 1. We have, if you look.
Okay, Matt, let's go to the entrances again. And that is.
If you do the overhead, I can show it to you, the photograph. All right. So you have the building in the center. We have 2 entrances one off of Cedar, one off of Court on the north side, and 2 entrances, one off of Court, one off of Cedar on the south side. So that's 4 entrances. Well, we should be using 2.
Okay, hold on. Let him finish.
So anyway, the point being is that we're going to limit right there. You just saw it. Those are on Cedar, and then on the other side, you'll see the ones on Court. So anyway, the point being is that we're going to come out, and we're not going anywhere near the residential area. We're going south. So I think that should address any of the concerns.
Do any of the board members have any questions? Julianne?
Mr. Conway, are the truck drivers and the trucks themselves owned by the applicant's company?
No, no, there's a trucking company that will go to various different manufacturers. What's that? Well, some are, but no, we will not have exclusive, our trucks are not the exclusive deliverer of material.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dan?
So right now, you guys are still under construction, correct?
Correct.
So what vehicles are entering the property right now?
They would be some tractor trailers, but that's about it. I mean, we're under construction. We just finished the water system, so that group is done. At this point, we shouldn't have many construction teams there. We do have some tractor trailers coming in with material.
For the construction purposes?
No, for the actual oil use itself.
Are all these other safety systems in place already?
All done.
Okay, so they're
All done.
starting to.
Up, operating and certified by the fire marshal's office.
Okay. And then, I don't think you're going to have this answer, so if you could get it to us. You have another location in
Wyandanch.
I know you have different protocols there for spills and things. On the off chance it happens, what has been the percentage of any spills since you've been there that we could be aware of?
We had a 5-gallon drum get pierced by a forklift.
And how long have you been in business there?
What's that?
How long has your client been operating in that space?
4 years, 5 years?
For
Right
5
before
years.
COVID, yes.
So for 5 years, basically, and there's only been one spill.
Right.
And since that, you abided by all the environmental conservation and requirements on the DOT and the town to mitigate whatever happened, and it hasn't impacted beyond your property.
It went on to the warehouse floor. It's a 5-gallon drum, a 5-gallon container. And if you ever dealt with oil, it's a very slow-moving, oozing.
So it was within the actual property inside?
In Wyandanch.
But in their facility?
Yes, that's right.
Does that facility also have the coating on the concrete?
Correct.
So it doesn't
You have
go
to
through
do,
the concrete?
that's what you have to do.
Okay, that's what I need to know, thanks.
That seals all the pores.
Right.
So it can't go anyplace.
All right, thank you.
Frank?
Yes. So right now, during construction, what's the hours of operation? And then when construction's over, what are the hours of operation?
Well, I believe Mr. Garrett said that we would be operating between 8 and 6. 8 a.m., 6 p.m.
And right now?
Same thing, same thing. Okay, I wasn't there, but we will stipulate 8 to 6.
Are there any other questions? No? Dan?
Just as I know there was a comment made about work being done in the northernmost part of Court Street. Your property doesn't go into, you have 2 entrances off Court Street, but that northernmost area in that dead end is not your property, correct?
That's correct.
That is the adjacent?
Correct.
Across the street? Okay, thank you.
And Court is a dead, as just you mentioned, it's a dead end, so we can't get into residential there.
Okay, thank you. Matt, where are we in terms of reviews, comments? To October 30th, okay. We're going to keep this record open for additional comments from anybody, the public, and others, to October 30th. So we need a motion to extend the record. Motion by Frank. Second by Dan.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the rest of our agenda. Okay. Yeah, this hearing is over for now, but the record is open for additional comments. You can email that information to the planning department, to Matt, anything that you would like to bring to our attention. Please